Hi Capricorn, welcome to your monthly tarot reading with me, Raphael Ray from Radiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. So before we start, I would like to bless both of these decks before we go forward with all forms of love, like peace, prosperity and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. For those of you that watch other videos of mine as well as this, yes, I have had a shave, and yes, I am wearing a hat now. It's cold today where I am. So your actions and your interactions in the world at large, your willpower and your direction. Let's see what the cards have in store for you in the month of March. Oof. Okay, so Capricorn, you guys have literally had probably the hardest 2 years out of any, well, the hardest 2.5 years, because that's how long it takes for Saturn to transit a house. And in the 12th house, it's been like all about your past. It's about the dregs of who you are. It's about your deepest psyche. It's about your innate primal emotions. It's about your deepest seated fears and motivations. It's about your past. It's been about literally ripping the foundations and the roots up of everything. So your actions and your interactions this month is funny, because a lot of you in the comments said as well, you know, I can see in the amount of views that I've had on the Capricorn videos just how much you guys have been going through. And you know, Saturn going through the 12th house has literally, you know, Saturn going through the 12th house literally rips you apart. It destroys everything about your previous structure, and it then moves into your first house where it completely rebuilds you. So it's torn you down completely, and it's absolutely rebuilt you. This month, after the fight, after the traversing of this difficult path, after the realizations that set in. And when I say the realizations, it's like you've already had this part of life where, you know, you've literally been pulled in every direction possible. And this is the result. This is you at the end of your tether saying, you know what, I am exhausted. I do not have any more energy to give. I do not have anything else in the tank. I do not have anything else in the pot. But there are some positive things to the Ten of Swords, because the Ten of Swords is tiredness, fatigue, it's being completely exhausted, it's being completely worn out. It can represent backstabbing and deceit, it can represent all of those things. But while it is one of the heaviest vibrations and probably one of the most negative vibrations in terms of the cards, the number 10 represents completion. It represents the end of the cycle. So in fact, actually, when you see the swords cards, the 9 of Swords is the worst, because it means the events haven't culminated yet. It means the events haven't taken place. The 10s in tarot are all to do with completion. And this puts you squarely in a place of you finally ready to admit that, you know what, you're tired, you're exhausted, you need a break. You're tired, you're ready to say to yourself, okay, you know what, I'm not going to fight the tide anymore. I'm not going to push against this. I'm actually just going to take a break. This is you finally admitting that even you, dear Capricorn, are human. This is you this month. So the month of March is going to be about you taking time to withdraw. It's going to be about you really taking stock. Why do I say that? 10 is completion. It's the end of the cycle. The swords represent the intellect, the mind. They represent analyzation, communication. This is you analysing the steps that you've been through. This is you analysing the last 2.5 year cycle that you've been through. This is you analysing just how much energy has been taken from you, just how much energy you've expanded on others, on other things, on other people, on other situations. And this is you really acknowledging that. And in that acknowledgement, although it is a moment where you just go, I just don't have anything left now, the beauty of that is it's, you know, when everything's raised to the ground, it's a very similar energy to the Tower card. But where the Tower card is the explosion, the 10 of Swords is like the, this is when the dust has settled, when you can see everything and everyone for exactly what it is. This is a difficult card. It is a difficult energy to work with, but it tells you that you are at the end of that difficult cycle. And from here, you can only but go forward, move on and move up. So this is about, you know, this month actually, I think this is going to be a month of withdrawal for you guys. So it's going to be a month where you really kind of take a step back. This is going to be a month where you take a lot of stock of who and what you can trust, and more importantly, exactly what you've been through. And the reason you're doing that is because you're now ready to start building. You know, Saturn's already come into your first house now, and it's giving itself, you know, now that it's actually in there and it's just starting to get settled, you know, he's come home. So he's taking off his slippers, he's taking off his jacket. You know, this is about coming into that space. And from here, you're going to start to see a real structure building. I've said this to many of you. The next 2 years will reveal a life to you that is completely different and completely amazing compared to where you've come from. The old structure of self had to die for the new one to be rebuilt. And in order to build something up, you have to raise something else to the ground. So your actions and your interactions this month are going to be about taking stock, but more importantly, they're going to be about you just withdrawing from people, from, you know, from out of sight. People might say, oh, you know, you're really quiet this month. You know, where are you? What's going on? This is just you recuperating. It's you protecting your own personal and vital energy. So your money and your materials this month. Wow. You get the Tower card. So the Tower card is where we build things up with the self-illusory tendencies. And it's funny because I was just talking about this. You know, the Tower card is the explosion. And after the explosion comes the liberation. It's that moment where you see through something, where you finally see just how... it's about the things that you tell yourself that actually aren't real. And this is about the realization that you have when that illusion finally cracks. The Tower card represents the spontaneous. It represents the unknowable. It represents what you cannot anticipate. It's very similar in that respect to the Fool card. But this card, it can, some people say it's Mars. You know, it's the fiery of Mars. Some people say it's the electricity of Uranus, and you know, for that reason, because it's usually quite a surprise, but it's a totally liberating experience. I can tell you this is not going to be an easy month for you, Capricorn, but I can tell you that it's going to be one where you really find some deep personal and innate strength. So in terms of your money and your materials, this talks about your finances, it talks about your home, it talks about your health as well, you know, your physical body, your home. While there are going to be some, and I would say to many of you, keep an eye on your electrical appliances, especially once Mercury goes retrograde. So from around, I would say even the 19th to the 20th of March, right the way through to, I think it's like mid-April. Keep an eye on your electrical appliances. If something's got a dodgy plug, make sure you get it fixed or changed before you use it. You know, this is kind of like a bit of a warning against accidents to do with sharp objects as well. You know, just keep your wits about you when you're working with sharp objects. Keep your wits about you if you're working with glass. Keep your wits about you if you're doing things in the home that require sharp objects, or if you're doing things in the home that require electrical appliances. Just make sure that what you're using is in the best what's the word, in the best state of repair that it, you know, that it could possibly be in before you use it. That's why I say, like, if something's got a dodgy plug, or you know, the wiring on it isn't great, maybe try to refrain from using it this month. In terms of your money and your materials and your finances, this is about you getting really real. And I think for this month, you're probably going to have some unexpected bill that comes your way. This is, you know, because it's something that's very sudden usually, and the annoying part about this is it will be something that you realized you could have, if you'd have done it before, it would have been better now. So if you can see something, you know, something brewing, and you think, do you know what, I keep putting it off because I say I don't have the funds for it now, don't put it off any longer. Get it done. Whatever you have to pay for to have something repaired, or to get something that's going to make things easier for you down the line, invest now so that it doesn't become a problem later on. You know, that's because otherwise it becomes an unexpected expense that comes out of nowhere. You know, Sorry guys, this is not the easiest of readings for you, but you know me by now. I don't bullshit you. I just tell you what it is that I believe you need to hear. So, because I believe that forewarned is forearmed. Okay, so that's those two. Your communications. This is your emails, text messages, letters, you know, conversations, all of that stuff. Your social media presence, if you have one. Okay, and you get, finally, right? So you have some really good news coming to you from somebody, and it's probably going to be in your family. Now, the interesting thing is here, although you've got this unexpected expense happening, in your communications, you've got the Ten of Pentacles. Now, the Ten of Pentacles, look at this, in stark contrast to the Ten of Swords, right underneath each other. I would be really interested to see what comes up in your heart and your half. Okay, so the Ten of Pentacles represents financial abundance. It actually represents having a surplus of the things that we need to sustain ourselves. It talks about having enough to share with the people that we love. Money is going to make its way to you this month, and money will start to improve for you from this month. You do, like I said, have an unexpected expense coming to you from somewhere, but through conversations, some of them random, and some especially conversations that you have with family members, because the Ten of Pentacles represents the happy home. So it's usually people that you know, usually people that you're blood related to. The conversations that you're having with them may turn towards finances. They may turn towards ideas for you to generate more money. They may turn into you deciding to partner up with somebody that you share blood with, or some family member, where you start to really think to yourself, okay, how can I start to generate more wealth, generate more abundance? This card in itself means prosperity. It means abundance. 10 is the completion. 10 is the attainment. Especially this, because the Pentacles are your suit. You're an earth sign. Pentacles represent the sign of earth. And in your communications, it definitely talks about you finding ways to increase your wealth, finding ways to increase your prosperity. But because it's a physical card and it's a physical energy that this card carries, although you have this expense coming through in your money and your materials, what it really says to me is that actually finance is going to make itself, is going to improve for you. It can do anything but. You know, I don't concentrate too much on this, because while it will be evident, it will be a thing that you experience, I kind of believe that actually more prosperity and more abundance is on its way for you. And given the fact that this is kind of at the bottom of your reading, that tells me that your foundations are truly strong. And a big part of that is because you've had this massive life clear out. You know, it's looking a little bit, like I said, it's got some challenges, but actually it really starts to pick up. So in your heart and your hearth, your relationships with your significant other, your family and your friends, let's see what you have. Okay. Ooh. You have the Seven of Wands. Okay, so the Seven of Wands is about endurance. It's about standing your ground. It's about saying your piece. It's about being heard. So, interestingly enough, you know what? And this is why I said I was interested to see what happened. You know, this is one of the things that I love about tarot. This card here, the Tower, is card 16. 1 and 6 gives you 7. You got the Seven of Wands here. You got the 10 of Swords here. You got the 10 of Pentacles here. So the numbers 7. Where's my trusty little board marker? The numbers 7 and the number 10 are going to be relevant for you this month. So keep an eye on those, and I'm going to talk about what the numerological vibration of those numbers is in just a minute. But for now, like I said, in your relationships, so with your significant other, for those of you that are partnered, this is you guys having words, probably about money. This is you guys having, not necessarily arguments, but you will be having debates on what is the best way forward for you both in a financial sense. For those of you that are single, This is about you being in a space where you decide if somebody's not able to keep up with you financially, physically, materially, or even just in the same outlook. You know, if somebody doesn't meet you head to head, if they're not able to see where it is that you're coming from or where it is that you want to go in your life, you're going to be uninterested. And this is you putting that message squarely out there. If you are not on my same path or my same vibration, I'm just not interested. And you know what? That's not actually a bad thing. Sometimes it's about being self-preservational instead of being selfish. You know, there's a big difference between the two. And sometimes being selfish as well isn't a bad thing, especially when you've expanded so much energy for other people. And then finally, in your interactions with your, you know, your friends and your family, stand your ground. If you've got a viewpoint, I mean, you know, have you ever met a Capricorn that backed down from, you know, from their ground, especially if they thought they were right? Oh gosh, the world will have turned upside down the day that happens. Jokes aside, whatever you find yourself debating with people about, especially your friends and your family, it's really, really important that you stand your ground, hold fast, stand fast to your ideas. Okay, so, and then finally, the key to the month for you. This is like the extra tidbit, the last message from the universe. You've got the Devil. This is actually great for you guys. And the reason I say this is great is because the Devil card in the tarot actually represents the sign of Capricorn. So your key to the month is to remind you how tenacious you are. Your key to the month is to remind you what it is that you're seeking, the finer pleasure, you know. And that's the thing, the Devil represents addiction. It represents when something becomes obsession. It represents when something, you know, goes unchecked. It's something that you tie yourself to consciously, but then it takes over subconsciously and you stop thinking about it, and it's just, it owns you. However, the positive aspects of the Devil are deep spirituality, love of life, fine wine, fine food, good fabrics, nice things. It's about attainment, about achievement. It's about chasing your goals and being 100% dedicated to them to the point where you can't see anything else. Those are the positive aspects of the Devil card. You know, and just like Capricorn, although it's one of the darker signs of the zodiac, it has many, many positives. And I've talked to you guys before about, you know, darkness. Out of darkness comes seeds growing to trees and fruit and vegetables. Out of the womb, which is, you know, a dark, warm environment, comes a baby. There's lots of things that come out of darkness, and you are growing out of the dark, and you need to step into that. Now, you've got the 2 10s, you've got the 2 7s. So 7 is the number of self-analyzation. It's the number of analyzation in general. It's the universal student and the universal teacher. It's how you become a master by observation. It's how you do life through introspection. The number 7 is about slow, relentless and steady growth that continues on in all ways, shapes and forms. It's about melding the spirit and the physical. It's about melding those two things, because it's the square, which is the 4, and it's the 3, which is the triangle. This is the power of the spirit and the power of the physical matter combined. 7 is a very high and powerful number. The number 10 is about completion. It's about attainment, but also the number 10 represents home. Number 10 on the tree of life in the Kabbalah actually represents the sphere of Malkut, and that represents, it's the kingdom of the earth. If you look at this card, the pentacles on there spell out the symbol for the tree of life, the kingdom of life. Your goals and your dreams are taking their time to manifest, Capricorn, but I can guarantee you they are going to come to fruition, and I can guarantee you they are going to become tangible and they're going to become real. You will see from this month onwards, like I said, even though you have this stuff going on and it will be challenging, you have some really amazing things coming as well. And before the month is out, you will start to see a very physical, practical, financial sweep of abundance, and you will be very, very surprised at how quickly things can really turn around for the better. I wish you an abundance of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance itself. Thank you so much for your continued support. For those of you that have donated, for those of you that wish to, you can do so on the PayPal link below. That is of course completely your choice. Thank you so much for those of you that do. For the likes, the shares, subscribes, all of that, I'm truly, truly grateful, and we at Radiant Reality are truly grateful. Have a great month, and I will see you soon. And don't forget to comment and let me know how this plays out for you.